My fellow Rams fans, I hope you can hear this right now, as YouTube is currently in a disarrayed state, so please let me know in the chat if you can hear this. But I'm coming to you with somber news. It's been a somber day in the Rams fandom. And I felt that it was important to address Rams Nation as these developments came in, because I think we're all a little freaked out right now. Well, I take that back. Freaked out might not be the right term, but I think we're all in shell shock. I think of something very monumental has happened. And I want to put in the chat, can you all see me? So I make sure I'm not talking into a void. But guys, what a day. What a day. As I can say, or as I said earlier, I was not expecting to make a video. If you guys cannot tell by my disheveled appearance, I basically sprinted home from work, felt it was important to address everybody because I was getting messages from everybody asking if I was going to go live or if I was going to talk about the events of the day. And so I figured I would. I hope you all can hear me. Again, I'm seeing the chat, but no one has clarified if this is actually working. So I'm just going to keep talking as if it's working. I'm kind of scared it's not. But guys, okay, everyone can hear me. Everyone can see me. It's all good. Perfect. Yeah. So this Rams State of the Union is confusing. So let's start with the Aaron Donald news. So the Aaron Donald news, guys, I'm going to be honest. I did know that this was coming. I think people in the Rams content community, there were a few of us that knew this was coming. I quite frankly was in denial for, I've only known this for a couple weeks for starters, and I was in denial about it. So it really wasn't something that I was thinking about. I'd heard it, and I feel like it was one of those things. I felt like it was a Tom Brady thing where it was like, yeah, Aaron says he's retiring, whatever. In my mind, I was like, there's no way. I looked at where this Rams team is right now and the Super Bowl push that I believe they're about to make, and I was like, he's not retiring. So when I heard the news today, it was weird because it was like something that I quote unquote knew was coming and had heard was official and coming, but I was in such denial about it that all the emotions overtook me when I heard the news. I was at work fighting back tears, which sounds, listen, I know everybody says don't let sports control your emotions. Don't get attached to sports players in that way, but I think that's the wrong mindset to have. I think especially with somebody like Aaron Donald, who's a generational talent, who's been with this Rams team with so many eras. For me, like the idea of Aaron Donald retiring kind of makes me numb. It like puts me in shell shock. I just was quite literally overcome with like tears. I wasn't full on crying, but like my eyes were stinging, especially watching the Rams tribute video to him. So I do want to talk about it, and I want to hear people drop in the chat their thoughts on this. But I'll give mine. I'll give my thoughts while I wait to hear from you guys on your mindset. Listen, Aaron Donald, he's 32. Not young by NFL standards, but not old. Certainly at an age that you would think he might keep playing. He is quite literally, statistically and by the eye test, one of the best, if not the best, defensive tackle to ever play in the NFL. So to watch him walk away at 32 tells me that this is strictly, at the top of his game, by the way, this is strictly a lifestyle decision. And what I mean by that is I think that he genuinely loves his family so much. I think that he's got 4 kids now. I think he wants to be with them. I think he wants to be a more active, I don't want to say part of their life, but because that sounds like a bad phrasing, but he wants to be around more, right? When you're playing in the NFL, you're gone a lot. It takes up a lot of your time. So I think he wants more time for his kids, for his family. And I think that's where this decision stems from, which I totally respect, but it still hurts. It still hurts because he's still at the top of his game. And I think if he were to play another 2 to 3 seasons, he could solidify his status as the greatest defensive tackle of all time. No doubt in my mind. He could win at least another 2 rings with the Rams, hopefully. So I think it hurts seeing him walk away because, one, we are so attached to him, but there is that thing now in the back of our mind going, what would the career look like if he had retired 2 years from now, 3 years from now? So I respect his decision. I understand where he's coming from. Again, not putting words in his mouth. I'm simply stating what it looks like from the outside could be the motivation behind him retiring. But yeah, it still hurts. It hurts for us Rams fans, guys. It sounds silly, but it's like I'm trying to remember the state of the Rams before Aaron Donald was on the Rams, and it was not good. As you all know, I mean, I remember 2014 when Aaron Donald joined the Rams. I was at my grandpa's house in Chicago, Illinois. I was watching the NFL draft. I was sitting at his kitchen counter. I remember specifically when they drafted him, and I was very excited about it. I was at the Edward Jones Dome in St. Louis for games that he played in the 2014 season. Particularly, I remember the game against the Denver Broncos where he sacked Peyton Manning, which was huge. He was a rookie. He sacked Peyton Manning. I was at that game. Loved it. Really fun moment. The crowd was electric that game, but especially that moment. Obviously, seeing a quarterback like Peyton Manning get sacked by your team was huge. And I think those 2 seasons in St. Louis were really, I won't say they were the peak of his career, but that's when we started to obviously see right off the bat that Aaron was going to be special. And special he was. He has been electric. Doesn't even do the word justice for Aaron Donald when you describe his career. But, in this moment, the words that I'm thinking of is electric, dominant, a force, just insane. Insane is probably the best word that I can think of. I mean, Aaron Donald has meant not just so much to Rams fans and our community, but to the NFL community as a whole and for the game. I mean, the tributes were pouring in from all over the NFL today, not just the Rams, former Rams players, people in the Rams community, but everywhere, and rightfully so. So, yeah, I just think, the state of the Rams union is somber at the loss of Aaron Donald. I think regardless of how we address the void left by Aaron Donald, there will never be another AD. One, it will hard to replace him physically, quite literally, to draft a player or sign a free agent that is going to be able to produce like Aaron Donald is going to be damn near impossible for a long time, but also just the metaphorically is also going to be hard to swallow. But yeah, I mean, somber. Somber is the word. I've been fortunate enough to have a few brief interactions with him over his decade in with the Rams, and he's been so kind to me. I've seen everybody else's stories about interactions they've had with him. They've all been positive. He's just a great guy. And guys, it sucks. It's really sad that he's gone. I know that opens up a lot of questions about our interior defensive line. I mean, Kobe Turner had a fantastic season last season. I mean, in my opinion, defensive rookie of the year. He was snubbed. I'm not afraid to say it. You got Bobby Brown in there, and then as of right now, it would be Desjuan Johnson. So in my opinion, I am full steam ahead on drafting Jerzon Newton in the first round. I know that a lot of people might still want us to address the secondary or edge in the first round. I'd be fine with that too. But the idea of pairing a guy like Jerzon Newton or Byron Murphy, probably Newton more likely, alongside Kobe Turner and Bobby Brown, I think Jerzon is going to be the closest replacement to an Aaron Donald we have. And I don't want to get too far into that because I don't want to already be talking about Aaron Donald's replacement the day that he announces his retirement. But talk about the Rams State of the Union. That's the commentary floating around is what does this mean? What does our defensive line look like now that we've lost the anchor of our defensive line for the past decade? I think it's a fair question to ask. Someone in the chat said Hoyt on defensive tackle. That is a possibility. I think, again, it depends on how the Rams want to address the edge situation. They certainly could move him back there if they find somebody else to fill the void at edge. But yeah, I think Jerzon Newton, guys, if you're not familiar, look him up. He's a defensive tackle out of Illinois and very similar, I would say, in his approach and style of his game to Aaron Donald. If you look up the scouting reports on him, it's basically the dude's a freak, but he's a little undersized. Where have we heard that before? Like, yeah, he's really, really good, but his arm length, is that like ideal? He might be a little small. All the physical grades on him, that's the indicator there. So we've heard that before, and he ended up being amazing for us and one of the best, if not the best, defensive tackles of all time. So I would suggest all Rams fans get familiar with Jerzon Newton, the defensive tackle out of Illinois. He's a guy that very well could be there for the Rams at 19. And if he is, I'm totally fine with drafting him. I mean, Kobe Turner, somebody just mentioned the conductor in the chat. Obviously electric, great player. I think he's going to be great for the Rams for a long time. However, he can't do it by himself. I mean, Aaron Donald is as great as he is, and he's Aaron Donald, wasn't able to win by himself. I mean, he certainly got as close as you could, but we need to have more than one dominating defensive lineman in the interior. So that's all that I'm going to say about moves based on Aaron Donald's, but because I don't want to take away from the conversation about his retirement. But I don't know if there's anybody in the chat. I see people talking about how they remember the Edward Jones Dome, seeing Aaron Donald play there. Obviously, that's again a decade ago. That's crazy. That was 2014, the game that I was talking about, where he was sacking Peyton Manning at the Dome. People are talking about how they're sad. Totally get it. People are happy he retired with us and not another team. Yeah, that's something that I think can't be discounted. The fact that he was a Ram his whole career, guys. That's special. It's rare that you see players nowadays stick with one team, especially someone that good. I mean, Aaron Donald is one of the best, and he retired a Los Angeles Ram. Very cool. I thought his goodbye message to us all was very, very cool. I thought it was really nice what he said about St. Louis and acknowledging the people that followed him from St. Louis to LA. I thought that was cool. Being from St. Louis myself, and then talking about how California is now his home was cool. So if anybody else has any Aaron Donald tidbits they want to drop in the chat that they want us to cover during this State of the Union address, go for it. But yeah, I think in closing on the Aaron Donald segment, it's a somber day, and it's going to be a somber few weeks. And I don't know that it's really going to hit us that Aaron Donald isn't playing for the Rams anymore until game 1 of the NFL season, and he's not out there, and he's not on the sideline. And I'm sure they'll talk about it on the broadcast that we're missing Aaron Donald. And I think that's probably when it's going to hit us. It's sad. It's sad. Very, very somber mood. That's why I wasn't smiling in my State of the Union graphic that I made. Although there's a couple other reasons I wasn't smiling, which we'll talk about later. But guys, next up, I want to talk about our free agent signings that the Rams have made in the past day, although the Kamren Curl news dropped technically last night. I was asleep, so I didn't see it till this morning. It was late last night for me. Hi, Lou. How are you? I know you're hurting. Yeah, we're all hurting too. It sucks. It sucks. That's all I can say, losing AD. But let's talk about the free agent signings. What do you guys think about Kamren Curl? So I'll start. I really like Kamren Curl. I liked him coming out of Arkansas in the NFL draft. He is a hard hitter. That is the first thing that comes to my mind, is he will absolutely demolish people if he gets the opportunity in the secondary. He is somebody, again, it was kind of like the Jonah Jackson situation for me, where I just never thought that the Lions would let Jonah Jackson become a free agent. So it wasn't really something like on my radar. And it was kind of the same with Kamren Curl. For whatever reason, it never crossed my mind that he could be available to sign. But I really like the signing. I have his stats pulled up somewhere, guys. I'm sorry. When I went live, I think they went away. But I'm going to read them off really quick for people who are unfamiliar. And again, stats at this point in his career might not mean a ton, but it's just going to give us like a general idea of what we're looking at. So you look at so far in his career, he has made 257 solo tackles, 128 assisted. That's 385 total tackles, 5 sacks, 1 forced fumble, 3 interceptions, 1 touchdown. So it's solid stats. I mean, it's not the best that we've seen, but if you've watched him play, I think what he does is is bigger than stats. Like I said, he's a really hard hitter. I think he's good in coverage. He's just a dog, as I saw someone say in the chat. He's just he's a beast. Someone else just said Curl is a beast. Watching him play is so fun. He's so gritty. He's so violent, and I love seeing that from defenders, especially in the secondary. I think it's really fun. So I really like this signing. It looks like most of you in the chat do as well. Someone just asked me, what are your predictions on who the Rams are going to draft in the first round? I'm not sure. As I mentioned earlier, I'm of the mindset right now that I would love to see them, if he's there, get Jerzon Newton, the defensive tackle from Illinois, because I think he's the closest thing to Aaron Donald that you're going to find in this draft. I think if they don't go defensive tackle, depending on how free agency plays out, I would love for them to maybe draft a corner or maybe an edge rusher. Again, it just depends on how they handle free agency. So in my mind, the biggest needs on the Rams defense right now, which is what I think they should address in the first round at this point, is interior defensive line, corner, and edge. I think edge is probably what I would say is number one. I think when all the Aaron Donald retirement dust settles, we'll maybe realize that we don't need interior defensive line as much. But I think in my mind, I'm thinking of his replacement. And in my mind, that's Jerzon Newton. So yeah, I don't know if that answers your question or not, but I'd like for the Rams to go defense, although there's such good left tackle talent in this draft that if the Rams wanted to take a left tackle, I wouldn't be upset. Like if they wanted to draft like Amarius Mims or JC Latham like at 19, that would be fine with me, honestly. I don't know. But yeah, I don't know if that answers your questions or not. People talking about focusing on the defense in the draft for sure. I wouldn't be shocked if the first 3 rounds were all defense for the Rams, guys. I really wouldn't. I wouldn't be shocked if they did like edge, then corner, then interior defensive line in any order. Would not be shocked. I think safety is not out of the question too. So Jordan Fuller just signed today with the Carolina Panthers. So we signed Kamren Curl, but we lost Jordan Fuller, and John Johnson is a free agent. I do think they bring back John Johnson. I do. I think Quentin Lake is more of like that nickelback role now, but they could play him more as a true safety. But I do think I wouldn't be shocked if we take like a safety in the second or third round as well, and they start for us automatically. I really wouldn't. So yeah, in closing on the Kamren Curl signing, I think we all agree that we love it. Like I said, great deal too, 3-year deal. I think what we're noticing with these 3-year deals from the Rams is they're not openly saying what we've all been openly saying, but they're confirming it, is the Rams think they're in this 2 to 3 year Super Bowl window right now. They're going to try to win it next year. They're going to try to win it every year in these next 3 years. But everything that they are doing based on their contracts with the players is very intentional. These 3-year deals, Stafford's contract's up, all these other guys' deals are up in 3 years. I think the Rams have given themselves this window to win a Super Bowl, maybe a couple Super Bowls. So I think, again, we saw that in the signing with Curl. And it's part of the reason the Aaron Donald retirement hurts so much, is because I really believe if he would stick around, it would just bring that much more power to this team to win Super Bowls in these years, and he could get more rings. But like I said, I respect his decision, but it does sting a little bit knowing that he's leaving when the Rams are putting themselves in this position for success. So now that we've talked about Kamren Curl, I think we should talk about the other free agent signing. And this is the thing that I kind of want to drink for. I have not made myself a drink. I'm not going to do that yet. It's a little early. But guys, Jimmy Garoppolo is our new backup quarterback. Did we ever think we'd see the day? Did we ever think that we as Rams fans would look at Jimmy Garoppolo and say, that's my quarterback? Because I'll tell you what, I didn't think about that. Listen, it's not a secret if you've seen my reaction on Twitter to this that I'm not thrilled by this, but I'm trying to search within myself as to what specifically about this signing am I so upset about. And I would like for you guys to drop in the chat how you feel about this signing, and be sure to add specifics so I can read them out. Because I think for me, one, I don't think Jimmy Garoppolo is better than Carson Wentz at this point. I would have been happier leaving Carson Wentz on the roster, and I thought that that's what was going to happen, to be honest. Wentz hasn't signed anywhere yet, and so my assumption, just based on how the quarterback market is shaking out, that Wentz would back up Matthew Stafford. So the signing of Jimmy, to me, indicates that Carson Wentz isn't coming back. That would make no sense to have Stafford, Garoppolo, and Wentz, and possibly Stetson Bennett. We don't know what the deal is with him yet, if he's coming back. So the signing of Jimmy G basically indicates he's quarterback 2 for the Rams next year. Quarterback 3, undetermined. Is it going to be Stetson Bennett? Are they going to target a guy later in the draft? Sign somebody else? I don't know. I think for me, it's just Jimmy G has been regressing, and he looked pretty bad with the Raiders, right? He looked pretty bad with the Raiders, and they got, they had a better roster than they do now when he was on the Raiders. So that's concerning. He's suspended, by the way, for the first, I think, 2 games of the season for PED use. So he can't even play. He can't even be our backup for the first couple of games of the season. I know it's only 2 or 3 games, but still, it's just the idea of it. And yeah, just he was our rival quarterback when he was on the 49ers. He I think the off-field stuff with Jimmy G kind of bothers me. I'm not going to get into it, but I don't know. Again, I'm searching within myself as to why I'm so bothered. New update with iOS that if you move your hands a certain way, it puts a thumbs up on screen. But yeah, as I'm seeing you guys say in the chat, and as I saw on Twitter, just we all had a meltdown at the same time, and it makes it worse. Knowing that Aaron Donald just retired, it was like just really a weird day for news. I'm sorry, I'm texting Jake to let him know I'm live. He asked if I was going live. Looking at the comments, people are like, yeah, I just really never thought that Jimmy G would be our quarterback. Someone just said, my mic is cutting badly. Let me know if my mic continues to cut. It was fine earlier. Hopefully, Alexander, I don't know if it's just you or not, but hopefully it's still bearable to listen to. I apologize if not. So yeah, guys, the Jimmy G signing, I think it just indicates they're not bringing back Wentz. He's the type of guy, audio is out. Shoot. I don't know how to check it. Can anyone else hear me? I'm typing that and saying it. Someone said it's not out. Okay, cool. Working for me. All right. But yeah. So guys, Jimmy Garoppolo is a Los Angeles Ram. It's a 1-year contract. Somebody else asked in the comments if what the contract was. It's a 1-year contract. I don't believe they released for how much yet. I didn't see what the amount was. It was just that it was a 1-year deal. So we'll see. But yeah, not a huge fan of that move. I do think that there are guys later in the draft the Rams might potentially target, but at this point, who knows? Someone else said your microphone is messed up. I'm sorry. It's working for some people. It's not working for others. Some people are saying that they leave and come back and the sound is better. So try leaving and coming back. We'll see if that works. Also, guys, if you haven't already, if you could please like and subscribe, that would really help me out as I'm just getting back into YouTube again and I'm trying to get the algorithm right. So I'd appreciate it if you like what you hear, if you could please like and subscribe. But guys, yeah, so Kamren Curl and Jimmy G are the only free agent signings of the day. So as the theme of this live stream has been the Rams State of the Union. So far, we've covered Aaron Donald's retired. The Rams have signed Kamren Curl, which is a positive. They've signed Jimmy G, leaning towards negative. And that's pretty much the only news that we have so far, unless something else drops, which with the day this is going, I'm not sure. I'm kind of surprised they let the Jimmy G news drop today because of the Aaron Donald retirement news. That felt a little weird to me. I don't know if that was planned or not, or if that was out of the Rams' control or it wasn't. But guys, I think the Rams' State of the Union right now is complicated. I think we have all of this hope and this optimism because the Rams have been killing it. In my opinion, free agency so far, I think they've done a really good job. I did a live stream for Bleacher Report yesterday. It is also on my channel if you missed the live stream and you want to watch it, where I graded the Rams free agency so far. I gave them a B plus. The only reason I didn't give them an A is because I think that they've failed to address a couple other positions that I would like to see them address in free agency. So really, I mean, I think that they if I was doing that live stream today, I would give them an A because they ended up signing Kamren Curl. One of the things I said when I was grading the Rams free agency so far is I would like to see them address the secondary more, and they did. They ended up announcing that they were signing Kamren Curl. So yeah, again, I've really liked what they've done in free agency so far. I am curious how they address the loss of Aaron Donald. It's not that I don't have faith in guys like Kobe Turner and Bobby Brown, because I very much do. It's just it's hard to replace an anchor like that in Aaron Donald, just an absolute anchor. I mean, Jerzon Newton, like I said, closest thing that we're going to find to that. But guys, if there's anything else you want to talk about, I'll stay on for another 10 to 15 minutes and talk about the Rams. Like I said, I was not planning on doing this. If you can not tell by my appearance, I was not camera ready. This wasn't something that I planned on, but just with the way that the Rams day is gone and the messages I got asking for me to go live and for Jake and I to comment on this on the podcast. Jake is out of town, so we won't have a formal Downtown Rams podcast until he's back. I just felt like I would do this and connect with you guys and see what's up. Someone said, who do you think the Rams should pick in the first round? So there's a few prospects who I think would be good. There's a few prospects who, at the moment, I think would be good for the Rams. Jerzon Newton, I think I'm starting to really like that pick, the interior defensive lineman. I think his player profile is somewhat similar to Aaron Donald, maybe not so much in player style, but kind of that smaller defensive tackle, very underrated, but just an absolute freak. I know Jake and I are familiar with his game. And yeah, Newton is just an absolute beast on the interior. And I think that he's the closest you're going to find in this draft to replacing Aaron Donald. I like that pick. I like the idea of taking an Amarius Mims at left tackle at 19. I mean, I talked about this in the Bleacher Report live stream. In my opinion, the Rams' interior offensive line right now is top 3 in the NFL. I think if they go and they draft a left tackle 19 or above in the first round of the NFL draft, their entire offensive line automatically becomes top 5, if not top 3. I truly believe that. I think you get a guy like Mims there. I know guys like Jake or other people want us to trade up for Joe Alt. That would be my dream. You know, I'm a Notre Dame fan. Joe Alt is my number 1 left tackle in the draft. I just don't think it's going to be possible. I think the Rams would have to give up so much to trade up for him. I don't think they're going to do that. So yeah, Jerzon Newton at defensive tackle, Amarius Mims at offensive tackle. Those are probably my top 2 picks. If they don't address corner again in free agency, I mean, at 19, assuming they don't move up, getting a guy maybe like Kool-Aid McKinstry might be fun. Quinyon Mitchell, I think, is going to go too early. Terrion Arnold, I think, is going to go too early. I'm thinking off the top of my head right now. Cooper DeJean out of Iowa would be fun. He at this point he might go too early too. I don't know. People in the chat saying they want a corner. I could see the Rams doing that. Edge rusher, Latu, obviously out of UCLA. Although now I think he's going to go too early. I think at the 19 range you're probably looking at someone more like Chop Robinson out of Penn State. Darius Robinson out of Mizzou could be an option. Braylon Trice out of Washington. Although I think I see mixed opinions about Braylon Trice, whether he's a first round talent or second, he's going to drop to the second. I don't know. But I think defense is probably the way to go at this point for the Rams. Someone said they think the Rams trade up to number 9 and draft Newton. That could be. I haven't seen Newton go as high as 9 in most drafts, although I think he's certainly talented too. So I'm not sure if the Rams would need to draft up and take him or not. I think it's interesting because depending on who you ask, some people think Newton is the number 1 interior defensive lineman in the draft. Some people think it's Byron Murphy out of Texas. So I think they're both really good. I prefer Newton. I think Newton fills that hole that Aaron Donald left better, but that's just me. Someone said they want the Rams to draft McConkey from Georgia. I don't know that he's going in the first round. And I also don't want the Rams to take a receiver in the first round. In the second, they maybe. I don't think the Rams are going to take a receiver that high, though. So, what a day, guys. What a day. I can't believe that Aaron Donald is retiring. Someone did say in the chat that Aaron Donald could come back for the playoffs. That would be interesting. It would be very interesting if the Rams made a deep playoff run and Aaron Donald pulled an Eric Weddle. I would be for. I mean, listen, anytime Aaron Donald could be 40, and if he wanted to come back and play for the Rams, I would say go for it if he was healthy and wanted to do it. So, but that is an interesting point. I don't know that that's his style. I think that to me, it feels like Aaron is pretty confident in his decision and he's done playing. But hey, if the Rams made a Super Bowl push next season, I think that would be fire if he came back. I'm all paranoid about how I look because I wasn't planning on doing this. I'm so sorry, guys. Next stream I do is going to be, I'm going to look professional and I'm going to actually do my hair and makeup and go for it. But again, this is like we've talked about, this was a very last minute thing. When I'm looking down at my laptop, by the way, this is where I see your guys' chat is on my screen here, not here. Thank you everyone for the kind comments. God, just I'm trying to think of my favorite Aaron Donald memory. I mean, I think obviously the Super Bowl, the NFC Championship that hit on Jimmy G, the hit on Joe Burrow in the Super Bowl. I mean, my God, talk about an MVP of a Super Bowl run. Someone in the chat said a linebacker to pair with Jones. It's funny you mentioned that because I did go through a period where I was like, the Rams should draft an inside linebacker early. I still kind of think they could. I mean, guys like Peyton Wilson out of NC State, Junior Colson out of Michigan, Jeremiah Trotter Jr. I think is falling on board, so I don't know that they would need to take him in the second round anymore. But I wouldn't be against that. Like I said, I do think that we need somebody stronger than Roseboom to pair with Ernest Jones, if I'm being honest, in the middle. 38 people, guys. I appreciate it. This is for a live that was unscheduled that I announced 10 minutes before we did this. It's great for me. Like I said, if you haven't already, please like and subscribe. I'm getting back into YouTube, so every little bit helps. But yeah, as we close this out, I'm sorry, as we close this out, I want to touch again on something that I said earlier, that the Rams are pushing for a Super Bowl next year. If you had any doubt about that, don't. I don't think that Aaron Donald retiring changes that. As I mentioned earlier, the signing of all of these deals, these 3-year deals that kind of coincide with when Stafford might be done playing, tell us a lot. And I think that the Rams view themselves as a team that have a 3-year Super Bowl window. Either they win 1 in that time, they win 2, hell, even if they win 3. I think the Rams have set themselves up to make a strong playoff push these next 3 seasons. That is why I think it hurts extra that Aaron Donald is leaving. I think he could have been a part of that. I'm sure he knows that. Again, I respect his decision. I think he's made the right choice for him personally. But, I think that these signings indicate that the Rams, this is for real. Guys, it's for real. I don't think that the Rams are looking to rebuild in any way, shape, or form. I mean, look at what they've done just with the Jonah Jackson signing, the Colby Parkinson signing, Kamren Curl, bringing back Darius Williams. This is a team that expects to be making a Super Bowl push next season. If you had any doubt, don't. Someone in the chat said, off topic, but I need a sound clip made on you and Jake's channel with you saying standing on business. That's something I think I've said before. That might be what you're referring to of you and Jake's channel with you saying standing on business. I've definitely said it before because like I have said, I just think We got to stand by what we say. And I've certainly had a lot of takes that are bad, but I've had a lot of takes that are good. Remind everybody about Kyron Williams. Someone said AD will be a fantastic color commentator. I think he would be too. I don't know if that's the route that he wants to go or not. I kind of feel like coaching feels more like AD's style just based on things that he's said about coaching. I could very well see him going to USC with Coach Henderson. That to me makes a lot of sense. He could stay close to home because, part of the reason that he wanted to retire from all indicators is because he wanted to be around his family more. He said his family is based in California now, so him going to USC could be interesting. Someone said, what round would you think the Rams could pick another receiver? I would say I don't see the Rams targeting a receiver until the 4th round and later. I would be very surprised if the Rams took a receiver in the 2nd or 3rd round. Someone said, I like Maris Liafu from Notre Dame, who you could pair with Jerzon Newton. I like Maris too. I'm a Notre Dame fan, as most people know. I think he's great. I think he's going to slide down draft boards. And he's somebody that you could get in the 5th round, maybe the 4th, but 4th or 5th round would be a steal with Jerzon Newton at first. I like that plan. I do think the Rams just need to focus on not just focus on defense in the draft, but I think they really should focus on defense. I think you're looking again at kind of a shaky secondary. The loss of Aaron Donald, I wouldn't say it destabilizes the interior defensive line, but it definitely leaves a void because, again, it is very hard to replace Aaron Donald. I do think they should try the best they can. Someone said, who would you take at 19? I talked about this a little bit earlier. As of this moment, a few names that come to mind for me are Jerzon Newton, defensive tackle out of Illinois, Amarius Mims, offensive tackle out of Georgia, J.C. Latham, offensive tackle out of Alabama, Latu, edge rusher out of, his first name's escaping me, out of UCLA, although I don't think he's going to make it that far. Chop Robinson, edge rusher out of Penn State, I think could be there. Braylon Trice, edge rusher out of Washington, although like I touched on earlier, I think that he's going to fall down some draft boards, so it might be a little early to take him at 19. But position-wise, I'm going edge, left tackle, or interior defensive line in no order. Also a corner, actually, a corner. Although I wonder if they're going to try to address that through trade or free agency. Someone said Snead must have known this was coming. Major trade down, almost inevitable. The Rams have known this is coming for quite some time. As I mentioned, I've known for a couple weeks that this was coming. I've seen some other people in the Rams content community also got wind of that. The Rams did know. So I think a lot of these moves that they've made in the past couple weeks, it is a little surprising that they maybe didn't try to sign an interior defensive lineman knowing this was coming. But like I said, I don't know that on the Rams' major priority list. Again, as big of a loss as Aaron Donald is, I think there's other positions we need more in defense. Someone said they want a backup running back. I agree. I do think we need to sign a running back number 2. I do like Ronnie Rivers a lot, but I would like to see the Rams get someone that complements Kyron Williams in play style. So again, Notre Dame running back, Audric Estime, doesn't have to be him, but I'm using him as an example, is a running back in this draft who I think would pair really well with Kyron. Someone just said A.J. Dillon. I agree with you, but he did re-sign with the Packers, which is a bummer because he was someone I would have loved for the Rams to sign. Someone said, any thoughts on why they didn't sign Wentz? Only thing I can imagine is Wentz starting somewhere. I don't know why they didn't sign Wentz. I thought they would. Again, I think this Jimmy G signing indicates that obviously that they're not going to re-sign Wentz. There would be no reason for them to at this point. Wentz might have been holding out. He might be trying to get a starting opportunity somewhere. I think that's kind of what makes sense to me. So maybe he's holding out for that. It hasn't happened and the Rams moved on. But yeah, definitely Wentz will not be back with the Rams with the signing of Jimmy G. Speaking of Jimmy G, Paul said, very disappointed with the Jimmy G signing. Thoughts? We talked about this a little earlier in the stream for those of you who missed it, but yeah, I think it's a weird feeling. It's like, I think we're all searching within ourselves why we hate this so much. I think he did regress a lot with the Raiders. He did not look very good with the Raiders at all. And then I think he's also just kind of been like sworn enemy of ours for so long when he's with the 49ers that now it just feels weird. He's basically just a quarterback, in my opinion, who's regressed. And if he were to have to step in for Stafford, I would be nervous about it. I don't think he's the worst option. I think he's better than Brett Rippon. And we saw Brett Rippon. It was a nightmare. I still have nightmares about that game against Green Bay. So again, it could be worse. It's just kind of uninspiring, if you will, with this signing. I think there's some other quarterbacks that might have been better options. Someone talking about AD field trips to training camp, working. They're seeing the thumbs up on the screen. There's some iOS update that whenever I move my hands a certain way, it does that. Someone likes the Jimmy G signing, proven winner. I mean, I'm glad you like it. I hope I'm wrong. Obviously, if he's on my team, I'm going to root for him. I am hoping we never have to watch him, mostly because that would mean something happened to Matthew Stafford, which I don't think is good for the team, based on who Matthew Stafford is. But yeah, it just feels weird. I don't know. It just feels weird. Jimmy doesn't really feel like a quarterback to me that the Rams would want. Once made sense. It's just Jimmy doesn't make sense to me. Someone pointed out he's suspended for 2 games. Yeah, I touched on that earlier as well. He's also suspended for 2 games to start the season. So we're going to have another quarterback anyway. Either that's somebody we draft late, or we sign somebody else. If Stetson Bennett comes back, we don't know what the deal with Stetson is yet, if he's going to be playing, although he has been working out and posting videos of him playing, which seems like a good sign. Alex, I am live. As I touched on with everybody else, I definitely wasn't planning to go live. This is very thrown together last minute for me, but I did get some messages about it and some people inquiring what my thoughts on today were. So I figured I would go live. I need to do it more. So if you guys could like and subscribe, I'd really appreciate it. I am going to start to do this more again. Someone said we're going to go with the Niner approach with the run game. We could be, but in order for us to do that, we need to make another signing or draft a running back, a solid running back. Someone asked about Jimmy G's salary. I do not believe that that's been announced. I haven't seen anything about the salary. I've just seen that it's a 1-year deal. Someone talked about how Aaron will be back for the playoffs. Yes, we touched on that. That would be awesome. Again, I'd love to see him all season, but if we make a deep playoff push, it would be iconic to see Aaron Donald step back onto the field in the Rams uniform for the playoffs in 2024. I want it so bad. I'm not ready. I need to live, as Taylor Swift says, I need to live for the hope of it all, right? Living for the hope of it all. I need to live with the hope that Aaron Donald will step back onto the field for the Rams. I don't care if it's just for the playoffs. I need it. Someone said would be great to see Jimmy go against the Niners. I think that would be fun to watch as a Rams fan. If we win, of course. Someone talked about Rattler. I am not a huge Rattler fan. Again, it's kind of like a Jimmy G thing where I don't know if people remember Spencer Rattler's attitude back in the Oklahoma days. It just turned me off, and I've never forgotten that about him, and so I've definitely unfairly hold it against him. I'm sure he's matured and grown since then, but I kind of am not a big Spencer Rattler fan. Someone said, well, if we want to do the Niner run game, we need to release half of our offensive line. I don't see that happening. Someone said, should the Rams push for Tyron Smith and complete the O-line, or O-line and then focus on defense in the draft? They very well could. I think they might stick with Jackson at left tackle, Alaric Jackson and Noteboom. I think it would be insane if they drafted someone like Mims at 19. I really do. Or I'm trying to think who else might be there at 19. J.C. Latham. Maybe he's slipping my mind. Troy, I forget his last name, from Washington. I think if they were to draft a solid left tackle in the first round, that's a top 5 offensive line in the league. No doubt in my mind. I mean, that would be insane. The interior, and I talked about this on the Bleacher Report live stream yesterday, the interior defensive line for the Rams right now, guys, is 964 pounds. The interior. That is massive. Imagine if they went and got a 6'8" Amarius Mims, who's also over 300 pounds. That's insane. Thank you, Alex. That's kind. I really appreciate it. Somebody says they want 80 to have the same thing where Brady retired once and came back. I could see that happening, although I kind of feel like we kind of had that after the Super Bowl when he was thinking about retiring after the Super Bowl and then he came back, even though he didn't officially retire. That to me was kind of like his trial retirement. So I feel like he has to be really sure this time. Somebody said, "How do you feel about the Jonah Jackson signing?" I love it. I give an A+ on my Bleacher Report live stream. I I think he's great. I think again, I can't believe the Lions didn't re-sign him. They might have tried, but I mean, I can't believe they let him go. Just him at left guard, Avila at center, and Kevin Dotson at right guard is going to be magical. Magical. Someone said, imagine the O line with Fuaga. Agree. I don't think he's going to be there at 19. I think you'd have to trade up for him. I think you'd have to trade up for Alt. Mims at this point, you might have to trade up for. It just depends on how the draft shakes out. Mims might be there at 19. I think he's certainly talented to go higher. I think a lot of these tackles are going to fall based on their talent in the first round. Just very deep class at left tackle, which is why I'm kind of inclined to say the Rams should take a left tackle. Someone said the Rams are about to get a lot of more female fans because of Jimmy G. I got to give it to Jimmy. He's a good-looking guy. I won't discredit that. However, not a huge fan of this signing. Someone said defensive tackle in the first round. Possibly. We talked about that earlier. Jazar Newton is who I think the Rams should target in the first round. He would be my pick. I think he's the closest prospect in this draft to an Aaron Donald type. Although, again, I would never say that somebody's the next Aaron Donald. I don't think anybody's going to come close for a long time. Someone said any solid offensive lineman in the second round. Second round offensive lineman that come to my mind, interior, which I don't think the Rams are going to take. That'd be like Cooper Beebe out of Kansas State. As far as a tackle, there's kind of a drop off. I think someone like Patrick Paul in the second round would make sense. I'm going to butcher his last name, but Kingsley's his first name, the offensive tackle from BYU. I think he's going to fall to the second round. Any other tackles? Again, a guy with a complicated last name, but his first name I think is pronounced Yiren, out of Yale. I'm totally blanking on how his name is spelled and his last name, but a couple guys. I do think that there is a massive drop off though between first round and second round talent this year for offensive line. Someone said, I'm so stoked for Kamren. The run game is going to be even better than the first drive against the Ravens. I remember that very well. Yeah, Kamren is going to feast, guys. Kamren, because here's the thing with him. He got better as the season went on. He got better every single game he played in. I think he's that type of player. I think he's going to be even better next season. And now he's got a better offensive line, which the offensive line was great for him last season. Don't get me wrong, but like this is insane, especially if they go and get like a left tackle. I mean, he is going to feast. I'm excited for him. And again, I would love for them to draft a guy like Estime at like the end of the third round. I think, yeah, God, that would be so cool. That'd be so cool to have that running back duo. Someone said, hi, Alexis. I'm still devastated. Me too. We talked beginning this live stream for about 15 to 20 minutes just about the loss of Aaron Donald and the impact of that and how the Rams State of the Union is complicated but very somber right now. Irreplaceable guy. There's not much else to say. We'll never replace him. Someone said Parkinson breakout season. I think so. I think it might be more of a Davis Allen breakout season. Here's the thing. I view them having two very different roles. I think Colby's more of a run blocking tight end, and Davis is more of a receiving tight end. I would like to see them both do both, but I think Parkinson's going to surprise a lot of people. It's a good signing. Kamren, I'm not even going to try to pronounce his last name because I'll butcher it. But yes, Edwin, that is the guy that I was thinking out of, the offensive tackle out of Yale. Yes, someone said doesn't help that Jimmy G is signing. Yeah, we talked about that too. Bummer. Hi, Deb. You are not late, in knowing that I had a YouTube channel. I've taken a hiatus from streaming and making videos. I'm hoping to start doing it more. Thank you for being here and watching. So hopefully I do this a lot more and we'll get to interact more as the season goes on. What's up, Rebel Rouser? Michael said convince Jack Youngblood to unretire. Not sure that that's going to happen. I think we have a higher likelihood of convincing Aaron Donald to unretire. But I want to be against Jack unretiring if he can still play. Someone's talking about Leo's mentioning Todd Gurley's injuries, and that's I agree with you. That is haunting with the Kyren thing. I don't want to see that happen to Kyren, which again is why I think they need to draft someone maybe like an Audric Estime. I need to watch more tape, but I'm thinking like who would be there and like Will Shipley out of Clemson, Braylon Allen out of Wisconsin. They need to draft somebody to complement Kyren, not to necessarily split carries, because I think Kyren has proven that he can be that running back one, but you need to alleviate the pressure on him, because the more that you have Kyren out there, I mean, he was taking at points 90% of the snaps. That's insane. You're just increasing his risk for injury, and that's not good, because he is such a beneficial part of our offense. I think Kyren really balances this offense and allows them to have a successful not only run game but passing game, because when he's out there, you have to account for him. So we have to keep him healthy. So someone said Youngblood is 76 years old. I know he is, but like if he can still play and he wants to, send him out there. Someone said, "Why not Ronnie Rivers?" I do like Ronnie Rivers. I just think that we need. I would like to see us get a more of like a bruiser type running back. I think Ronnie's very similar to Kyren in his playing style. Someone said, "Did someone offer Donald Olipop? Might not have retired." I don't know. They should get on it. I haven't had an Olipop. I have Olipop in my fridge. It's probably why you're saying that. You remember me drinking them all the time when I would do my live streams. Someone said, any information about how much cap room did the Rams make by Aaron Donald's retirement? I'm not sure. The way that it went down is a little weird, because they restructured his contract a couple of days ago, which I believe saved them 9.2 in the cap. But now that he's retired, I don't know what that looks like. Someone just verified 9 mil, so that might include his retirement. I'm not sure what that looks like. Few more questions, guys, before I sign off. Like I said, I definitely was not planning to go live, but just based on everybody's response, I wanted to make sure I could chat with you all. But I've got a couple more minutes that I can answer some questions here. Someone said, imagine if AD decides to unretire at the end of August and comes back. Hey, Lake Show, I mentioned earlier in the stream, I'm choosing to believe that could happen. I'm using a Taylor Swift quote, to live for the hope of it all. I need that hope. I need the hope that we'll make a deep playoff run and Aaron Donald will pull an Eric Weddle and march out on a SoFi field and play with us. I am choosing to live with that, and it might be a delusion, but I don't care. What is with the fireworks? Totally runs with it. I don't know what's going on. Someone pointed out we have his rights. That might be true. Someone else said in the event he unretires, do the Rams hold his contract? I believe that's true. I do believe, yes, that makes sense to me. Someone mentioned him coming out of retirement to play for Pittsburgh. I don't think that would be the case. I don't think that if Aaron Donald chose to unretire, he'd play for anyone but the Rams. In his goodbye message, he talked about only playing for the Rams and how special that was for his career. I think he really believes that. So I don't foresee that situation happening. And even if he tried, as someone said, we hold the rights to his contract. I don't know how much longer we do, but that's the case, at least for now. I still got a frame. I have an Aaron Donald signed jersey that I haven't framed yet, but that I own, that I'm very proud of. God, I love him. Guys, we are so lucky that he played for the Rams. What an absolute insane football player. Just the best. I mean, God, it just makes it hurt worse. But it's like, it's that weird feeling of just being so devastated that he's gone, but being so happy that we got to witness his career. Guys, The Rams State of the Union, complicated, and I need a drink. So I am going to log off. I am going to enjoy my Friday night. But guys, thank you for coming at 66 people in here right now. I really appreciate it for a live stream that was not planned, that was spur of the moment after I haven't gone live in over a year. Trying to think it honestly, guys, yeah, over a year and a half. I haven't gone live for a really long time, so I really appreciate you all stopping by. I'm going to do this more often. Thank you so much for your support. If you could please like and subscribe, it would mean a lot to me. You guys can see when I go live and when I schedule things. Enjoy your Friday nights. Be safe. Try not to wallow in your sadness too much about the Aaron Donald signing. Don't party in a sad way, party in a happy way. Smile because it happened. Don't cry because it's over. I don't like that quote, but you know what I mean? You catch the vibe. So, guys, everyone have a beautiful Friday night. Let's do this again soon. Keep in touch on Twitter. I'm always on there, X, whatever you call it, at the Alexis Kraft. I'll make sure to post there and on YouTube when I'm going live next. Maybe tomorrow night. Probably not tomorrow night. Maybe sometime next week. But guys, as I always say, I'll see you soon. But until then, stay safe, take care, and go Rams.